Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Juggalotus with Faygoluvers.net. On the phone today with hip hop artist Merkules. He's out on the road right now, but we're gonna hit him on the phone for a quick interview for Faygoluvers.net. What's up, man?
Not much, man. Just living life. Another day above ground's a good one, man. How are you?
Definitely, things are good, man. Things are good. So,
No doubt.
you just had an album release called Scars back in April,
That's correct.
a few weeks ago. How's the reception been on that as compared to previous albums?
It's been good, man. Like my last record was called Hunger Pains. When we put that out, it did fairly well considering the fact that it was kind of a last minute kind of thing. But this new one I'm really happy with and I'm really proud of because I got to sit down and actually craft something that I can look back and genuinely be proud of. So I'm really happy with the reception so far, man. I mean, we're number 4 on the iTunes charts, and we've been moving lots of copies, and of course selling lots of physical copies on the road. And as far as I've heard from from our fan base and everybody else, everybody likes it, and a lot of people are saying it's their favorite record of mine. So I really have no complaints, man. It's been great.
Yeah, definitely. I've been bumping that album for the last couple of days, and I have a review coming for you pretty quick, so we're gonna get that out there.
Oh, right on, man. That's awesome.
Definitely. Now I know you've done a lot of touring and stuff above the border there in Canada. When can fans down here expect to see you?
That's a great question, man. I mean, I've been in touch with my management for quite a while about that. We've been talking about doing something like that. I definitely like to branch out and see what kind of pull we have in the States and just make fans and meet the people out there. I'm always into traveling outside of the country. I mean, I've done Canada so many times, and I love my Canadian supporters. But at the same time, I like to kind of step my foot out there and check these other places out and see the different walks of life and see what it's like. So definitely very soon, man. That's something I really want to do. I just got to get everything together and put the pieces together, and we'll definitely make that happen.
Awesome, definitely. Now, as far as the new album goes, you had quite a few featured artists on there. Who was kind of your favorite artist to work with on there?
It's a hard question because all those people are my friends. So I mean, I might get a little backlash for that one, but it was definitely for me. It was one of the biggest honors for me was obviously working with Onyx. I mean, I recently was recruited into their 100-man crew after touring Europe with them last year. So it's always an honor to work with those guys. Of course, Snack and everybody else in Cassidy, those are all my bros. We're all on the same team. We've been working together for years, but it was really cool because I even made a post online the other day about this. But I mean, growing up listening to Onyx and hearing them like work with Eminem in the early days and stuff like that, and then to know that they like my music enough that they brought me into their crew and want me to be a part of their movement was definitely an honor. So, and I'd have to say my favorite like verse from the project that I think was like my favorite feature would probably be the Sticky Fingers verse.
Okay.
Retro's was crazy too, but Sticky's punchlines were just insane. He blew my mind with that shit.
Definitely. Now, for artists in Canada, it's kind of, the exposure down here in America, is good because of the internet, definitely through iTunes and everything else. As far as like your fan base, how big of a fan base do you have down here in America at the current time? I mean, coming down and touring, of course, you're going to gain a ton more fans. But what's your pull down here in America right now? Like, how rabid is the fan base here for your type of hip hop coming out of Canada?
That's a great question, man. I mean, it's like I said before, it's almost hard for me to answer that in the sense that I haven't toured there to really see it. But I definitely do get like quite a bit of messages from fans out there saying like, "Hey, man, we can't wait for you to finally make your way out here," and stuff like that. And I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but I definitely think I have a fairly solid fan base out there. I just really need to get out there, show my face, and shake hands with people and really see how strong it is and how strong it can be with the right promotion and the right tours and stuff like that. So I'm definitely going to be out there soon. But if there's anybody listening that is out there that is a fan of our movement and what we do, then shout out to you guys, and I appreciate each and every one of you because without those people, we wouldn't be able to move forward and make those moves. You know what I'm saying? So
for sure. Now, as far as the fans that might not have heard of you before, maybe will hear you for the first time. For somebody that goes on your SoundCloud or goes on and downloads an iTunes track, what would you describe your, I guess, sound as to those fans to kind of make them want to go out and grab something?
That's a great question too, man. With me, I just kind of try to be more honest than anything. Like a lot of the time when I meet somebody that's never heard my music and they ask me what I do for a living, and I tell them I'm a rapper. The first thing that they think is that I'm like rapping about cars and women and money, but really that's not really me. With me, what I try to do is I have a very underground sound, a very underground, raw, in your face kind of sound. But I also still I still branch out and do things like sing hooks and have melodies and stuff like that. I try to be very versatile and be able to have a little bit of every lane and incorporated with my music. And I mean, and my live show is a little different too. I mean, I get on stage and I rip my shirt off and I jump around, and a lot of people don't know how to take it when they see me up there pouring a 2/6 tequila on my face, but
Right.
but the people that do understand it really appreciate it. So it's definitely different. It's definitely original. It's hard for me to really even talk about because, like I said, I don't like to toot my own horn or sound arrogant. But I think that I think it's original enough that it stands out. Being that I'm a bigger dude, it's kind of hard to miss me sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I would just say original and very honest. Like,
Definitely, and checking out your music the past couple of days here, because coming into it, I'd heard a couple of tracks, but it was so long ago.
yeah.
This new album, as you said, is definitely a very very solid album. Um,
Thank you very much, man.
yeah, definitely, it's really nice to hear good hip hop and rap coming out of it, and you're absolutely right. You're 100% honest in what you rap about, and you that definitely comes through your music. Um, Now, as far as like getting out and touring the U.S. or touring Canada, what's your favorite part of hitting the road, man?
My favorite part of hitting the road. See, that's also a hard question to answer, only in the sense that I don't even remember half the time I'm on the road because I'm so blacked out, wasted the whole time.
Right.
I'm just being honest with you. But I would say my favorite part of being on the road, like I was saying before, is just being able to put faces to all the names. Like a lot of people, I'll see these kids on the road and they'll be like, "Hey man, it's me, little Jimmy from the block," and I'm like, "Yo, I seen little Jimmy from the block like my status last night on Facebook, and I've seen him before, and I know he's a hard supporter." So to be able to put faces to names is definitely one of them. And just the good times that we have in general, you know what I mean? There's always something that happens, at least one incident on tour that on each tour that we do that I look back and I'll always remember. So I just love touring in general, man. I'm the kind of guy that if I'm going to stand still for too long, I start driving myself crazy. So the more I tour, the more I'm out on the road, the more sane I stay, and just the more accomplished I feel. So I love the tour life, man. A lot of people aren't built for it, but I definitely think that it's one of my favorite parts of just the whole industry, or so have you, or whatever you'd like to call it in general. So
For sure.
that's me, man.
Now, any artist history as far as musically influences how they, present themselves in their music. But
Yep.
I found more the personal side influences music, especially with hip hop and rap, where guys are going to be a little bit more honest. Now,
Yep.
your history is a little bit, I guess, tumultuous is a good word for it. Um,
Okay.
a lot of people that see you, are going to notice scars on your cheek, and they're
Mhm.
gonna kind of course, wonder what's going on and why you have those.
Yep.
Um, do you want to give the fans a little insight into that part of your life so we kind of understand you a little bit better, And
Yeah, man, 100%. I have a title track on the album explaining the story, and the reason why I did that was because for the longest time, of course, people see me, they see my scars, and they want to know what happened. And like I've heard so many rumors, everything from I got I got attacked by a pit bull to all these other stories. Like just kids will make shit up themselves. But
right,
the reason with this record called it Scars is because I wanted to almost base the record around the incident that happened. And the title track explains it all. I have no problem telling you what happened. I was on the way home from a party. It was me, a friend of mine, and our girlfriends at the time. The car almost hit us. I told him to slow down. He pulled over, got out, got in our face, like, "What are you talking about?" Rah, 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 all drunk because it was New Year, so everybody was wasted, including us, of course. And then the dude was like, "Don't tell me what to do," or whatever, and we just got into a little bit of an argument, and then he swung at me. He missed. I managed to get a little bit of a shot in on him, and then that made him upset, and then he jumped in his car, drove off, and said he'd be back. And then we continued to walk up the street, and then probably about 2, 3 minutes later, a car pulled up, and a whole bunch of guys jumped out, and they had machetes and switchblades and bats or whatever. like it's really hard for me to explain in the sense that I don't remember it all because I was obviously in a state of shock at the time. But I remember getting hit with the bat, which obviously knocked me out. I opened my eyes and I remember I seen the dude put like a knife in my mouth and then he cut me from the cheek up and I got cut with a machete. It was a really hard time in my life, but if it wasn't for that situation, then I probably wouldn't be in the position I am now because without that wake up call, I'd be hanging out with the wrong crowd and doing all the wrong shit, and I wouldn't have found a positive way to take my situation and turn it into something positive. So I turned the negative into a positive. So I even say in the title track on the album that I actually thank the people that did it. I'm not even mad at them because if it wasn't for them, who knows where I'd actually be right now as a human. You know what I mean? Not even just as an artist. So
yeah,
that's what happened there, man.
That's a story that you see in movies, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
But it's a good thing you lived through it, and that track on the album is very deep. And for those who, will listen to it, will hear the story and hear the background and get it a little bit more. But for the casual fans that may not pick up the album or may not hear the track, I wanted to make sure that people understood kind of where you were coming from. How did that incident specifically, other than kind of turning you away from the bad side, were you involved in hip hop at the time, and did it amp your, I guess, creative drive, like your desire to make it because of something like that, or have you always been really dedicated?
The crazy thing about that is I was in the studio that day for it was honestly pretty much the first time I'd ever been in the studio and actually been recording. I'd always been an avid fan of hip hop, and I used to be the drunk guy that freestyled at parties and stuff like that. But the first time I really got in the studio was with my bro Snack the Ripper, and he's been a mentor of mine since I started. And we did a song that day called "Walk With Me." You can find it on YouTube and all that. And at this point, I went by the name Merk Mikes, which was just some corny little name that I came up with when I was young. And in Snack's verse on that song, he says, "In my neighborhood, you could get shot or stabbed, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, strong lines." And it was crazy because he said, in my neighborhood, you could get shot or stabbed, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And after leaving the studio that day and going to that party and walking home and that incident occurring, it almost brought that to life, which was really crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? So I've always felt like that was more than just a coincidence. And that was part of the reason why it was more than just a wake-up call. I mean, of course, the situation itself was a wake-up call, but for that to happen and then that to actually come to life like that was just a little too crazy for me. So when that happened, it definitely helped me snap out of it and smarten up a little bit because I was a little shit, man. I was stealing cars, doing all this dumb shit, you know what I mean? So it definitely changed me as a person for the positive.
Now, that's the personal side of your music. As far as musical influences growing up, what were the bands or groups or hip hop artists that you were into growing up that kind of pushed you in this direction?
I know it sounds corny to say this because I'm a part of their group now, but definitely Onyx, definitely dudes like Eminem. I mean, I grew up in the era where it was Eminem was on his fuck the world, I'm just an asshole kind of thing, and that was a huge thing for me. The whole old Slim Shady, the Marshall Mathers LP is probably my favorite album of all time when it comes to hip hop. I listen to a lot of different people like Beat Nuts and DMX and the Snoop Dogg's and the Dr. Dre's and all that stuff. I was listening to it at a younger age than a lot of the kids that I grew up with were. I would show up at school and I'd be in an Iverson jersey with a bandana on, and everybody else is wearing Winnie the Pooh gear. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was listening to rap at a really young age, and because of that, I got to almost see a side that a lot of people didn't get to because, my generation, obviously we all came up around the same time, but because I listened to hip hop a little earlier than everybody else, I got to take it in a little more than some people did. So everything from the 90s. Pretty much, I mean, in general, I came up on anything that was hot at the time. I used to read the Murder Dog magazine and Double XL, and I'd have to get my older homies to go in the store and get it for me because it was almost like them getting alcohol for me because you're too young, you know what I mean? But it was just a magazine because you had to have ID because it was graphic content or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, man, I was listening to it for a while. But those are a few of my main influences growing up. And when I was older, when I was an actual teenager, and when I was 18 or 19, one of my biggest influences is Vinnie Paz. You can definitely hear that in my voice and in my music. You know what I mean? The whole Jedi Mind Tricks, Army of the Pharaohs thing was really big for me growing up too. And it's dope to know that I'm friends with a lot of these guys now and can just work with them off the strength. So that's really dope. But yeah, those are a few of my inspirations, man, for sure.
Awesome. Now, as far as artists that you would like to work with, if you had like a dream list of people, I know probably Onyx, was on that list prior to this album. Um, who else would be on that list? Maybe not like necessarily the Eminems or the Dre's, because of course I think any rapper would love to work with those guys. But
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
outside of that, who would you love to have on an album that you just haven't quite grabbed and put on there yet?
Actually, one person that I always wanted to work with coming up, who influenced the whole the whole hook game for me, and the singing and the melodies and stuff like that. That I'm actually just found out I'm going to get a chance to work with, which is a huge thing for me. Is Devin the Dude. He was definitely somebody I grew up on too. That I really enjoyed his stuff. And I just found out that he's doing a Canadian tour, and one of my friends is helping book it and stuff. So when he comes down, we're going to do a joint and shoot a video for it. So that's one that I can't really say I've achieved because it hasn't happened yet, but from the looks of it, we're on the right path as far as making that happen. So
Right.
that's a really big one for me too. And it was dope because, like you said, the Dre's and everything, like Devin was like working a lot with Dre and doing a lot of Dre's hooks. So to grow up on albums like The Chronic and then be able to say that, hey, I'm about to do this track and a video with this guy is another really big accomplishment for me. And he's actually one of my big influences too. So him, a lot of dudes from the South like Zero and like shit like that, those guys. Um, and a lot of, like I said, a lot of the guys that I have worked with too, like I've accomplished more than I ever expected that I would, but Devin's definitely one of those people for sure.
Awesome. Now you're a little bit younger guy in the game. You're just in your low 20s, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
I know the era you grew up in was kind of the beginning of the iTunes and the beginning of the MP3 and that media era.
Yeah.
Before
Sure.
that, of course, you had to wait in line for record stores. How do you think and do you think it was a positive thing that electronic media has happened for an artist? Because, as you said, you're selling physical copies on the road, your iTunes is doing good. What do you think is, as far as just from a fan perspective, let's say you're a fan of an artist, what do you think, like for me personally, I kind of like having a physical copy because I'm old school like that. But for you, how do you think that has changed as far as the fan base goes? Do you think that a physical copy is necessarily a requirement nowadays?
I think it's to each their own, really, per se. But at the end of the day, I'm kind of like you in that sense. I definitely prefer a hard copy than just a download off iTunes. So the people that prefer those, I hear them and I understand. Being an artist, I know you said like looking at it from a fan's perspective, but also being an artist, the internet is honestly like a huge blessing for us because we can reach out to people in all these different countries and not actually have to physically be there, but work our way towards a point where we can physically be there and tour there.
Right.
So the internet's great for reaching out and building your fan base, but at the same time, like at the end of the day, it's like the corniest shit in the world. At the same time, dudes are like pimping themselves out for likes and shit like that kind of stuff. I don't really like, but as far as the internet goes, it's a blessing in disguise. It's a curse and a blessing at the same time. But as a fan, like looking at the game as a fan, like I miss like seeing in a magazine that an album was coming out and then waiting those couple weeks and then going there and then ripping the plastic off and like reading the inside and like reading the thank yous and like the track by track breakdowns and like finding out who the engineer was for certain songs and who the producers were, stuff like that. Like I definitely miss that side of the game, and it's good in the sense that a lot of dudes still do sell hard copies. But I mean, the world's changing, man. Like my dad, he works for the newspaper, and he lost his job recently because nobody's reading the newspaper anymore. They're just looking at it on their phone. You know what I mean?
Right.
I feel like in the next couple of years, we're pretty much going to be full robot at one point, and we're not even going to realize it. So I definitely think it's good that we can reach out to people with the internet, but at the same time, it's just like I said, it's the corniest shit in the world because all these people are just like so tuned in with who's getting likes and who's getting this and that. So I miss the physical copy shit. I definitely, I don't know, man. Like I can't say I hate it because, like I said, it benefits me, but at the same time, it's the fact that it's not the way it used to be definitely bothers me in a sense.
Oh, for sure. All right, now last two questions here. The first one's going to be relatively easy.
Yep.
If I was to pull your iPod off your car or charger, wherever it's at, and look at it, what would surprise me to find on your playlist?
That's actually a really good question, and I tell all my friends this too, because I mean, when I first meet somebody and and like especially when we're on tour because we got these long drives, right? And I listen to a lot of different stuff. People expect me to listen to like just like the underground, like AOTP, raw kind of stuff like that, and it's actually not really like that. Like I have an appreciation for every genre. I listen to a lot of blues music. I listen to believe it or not, like not the corny like riff raff trap shit, but a lot of the new school stuff like that I'm really into. I'm really into like a couple of like there's this dude named Bones and he rolls with this crew called Team Session. All their videos are shot in VHS and shit like that, and I like that kind of stuff. I think that's kind of like it's a little bit like hipstery, I guess you could say in a sense, but I like that stuff because it's weird and it's different.
Right.
Just like music that I can't figure out, you know what I mean? So I listen to a lot of different stuff, man. I mean, hip hop is definitely not the only thing I listen to, but hip hop itself has so many genres within it that it's almost like you can't even really define it anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like rap music is based off of every genre of music when it comes to sampling and stuff like that. I mean, like it's really not just one thing anymore.
right.
So I don't really want to categorize it like that, but I definitely listen to a little bit of everything, and I have an appreciation for everything too. I mean, because if you're a person who's musical, you kind of have to, because the second that you put yourself in that box where you don't appreciate everything, then you limit yourself as an artist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you miss the opportunity to maybe alter yourself a little bit to make something new and exciting.
Yeah, sometimes you got to build those bridges that you didn't even know were there.
Oh, for sure. All right, man. Last question. You're on tour right now.
Yep.
Your new album just dropped. What's next, man? What you got in the chamber ready for everybody coming up very soon or in the next year?
Right now, I definitely have a few videos in the vault that I'm going to be dropping soon. I just put my latest video just came out. It's called On the Rocks, directed by Stewie Kubrick. He's our director, videographer. He's honestly like a genius. Like it's next level. He's the one that makes all these videos turn out the way they are. So I got a few videos. As soon as I get off tour, I'm flying home tomorrow, and then I'm going to start working on the next album. I know that next month I'm going to be going to Brazil with Onyx and possibly South Africa and all these other places. So that's going to be crazy for me.
Very nice.
I'm planning my own Spain tour right now. So I'll be going to all these places in Spain and stuff like that. I've been there before, but it's going to be nice to get back out there. So lots of touring, hopefully in places I haven't been before. I got love for Canada. Of course, that's where I'm from, but I mean, I've toured across Canada like 20 times now.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to branch out and check out the world more. But yeah, man, so just lots of videos, lots more content, a few collabs. Like I'm doing some stuff with Necro right now and a couple other people. So look out for that for sure. Just content, man. A lot of singles, a lot of videos, and a lot of touring, man. So I'm definitely not I'm not taking any days off.
Definitely. And if people want to check you out, go ahead and throw out your social media. That way people can check you out and hear what you got coming out, because I think, you definitely deserve to be heard. And I'm looking forward to you come down here. So what's your social media? Where can people grab you?
First of all, thank you for having me, and I appreciate your support. My social media, I've got my rant down. I've done this a million times now. On Instagram, it's at Young Merkules, YOUNGMERKULES. On Twitter, it's at Merkules Music, MERKULESMUSIC. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/Merkules, MERKULES.Stevenson, which is my last name, STEVENSON. And shout out to the whole team, Stealth Bomb Records, Stomp Down Killers, 100 Mad. It's your mom's favorite fat kid, man. Baking over bitches. We're here for a reason, man, and we're not going to slow down anytime soon. So thank you so much for having me. And I definitely hope to see you guys in the future, man, because I'd love to come out there. So
Definitely. Well, that's it, man. 20 minutes flies by. It's been 20 minutes with Merkules.
Yeah, no
if
doubt.
you don't know his music, go check him out. Like I said, we got a review coming out on Faygoluvers this week, hopefully, of your new album, Scars. That way you can get some exposure on the website there as well. And definitely, as soon as the tour hits, we'll be letting you guys know for sure. So, man, thank you so much for taking time out of your tour schedule to talk to me. And, yeah, man, we look forward to hearing from you.
Likewise, bro. The respect is mutual, man. I'll talk to you soon.